Hey everybody, I'm sitting here today with Mr. Zach Neal from Provision Painting in Jacksonville, Florida. Should I said that Zach Neal? What do you normally go by the
You
way?
can call me Zach Neal.
Okay, what does everybody call you?
Zach.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
my last name is Arcuri,
And Neal's your middle name, right?
Neal is my middle name.
Okay.
And I think it sounds better on stage. It
Okay.
was my stage name when I played in bands.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's the connection. Okay.
Exactly. It was easier to stay on stage than Zach Arcuri.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Totally makes sense.
Yeah, that's my
That totally makes sense. So, anyway, Zach owns Provision Painting in Jacksonville, Florida, and Zach's got a great story. He's an awesome man and business person, and I think you're gonna enjoy what he has with his story today. So Zach, let's rewind the clock a minute. What was life like for you before Provision Painting?
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate you saying those nice things about me. My life before I started this business was very different. I come from a great family in sunny Jacksonville Beach, Florida, and it was a really cool place to grow up. And I kind of fell into some bad habits when I was a younger man, and it ended up paying some prices for it. And eventually got my act together. I struggled with substance abuse and drugs, alcohol, that kind of thing. And it really tore my family apart, really tore my life apart. And at that time, if you had asked me where I was going, I didn't have any 1 year, 5 year plan. I didn't know if I was going to make it another 30 days. I couldn't stay out of jail. So eventually, got things together, and through, the help of God and my family and, other outside influences, I was able to recuperate from that. And, by the grace of God, this year I'll have 10 years clean and sober.
10 years.
10 years, yeah, in December. December 24th, 2015. I always say it was the best Christmas gift I ever gave my family.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. And I bet they remember that too.
Oh, they remember. Yep. Nobody forgets that every year.
So who all's in your family? You got mom, dad?
Mom, dad, sister. I've got a little sister. I got step family, stepmom, stepbrother, sisters,
Yep.
grandpas, grandmothers, that kind of
So
thing.
you had a lot of people rooting for you too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like I said, I came from a great family.
Wow.
Just fell into some really bad ways when I was...
And it's easy to do, and,
Yep.
and many, 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 many people do.
Yep.
And, congratulations, dude. I'm proud of you for whatever courage it took. I can only imagine, because I haven't been there, the courage that it took to face that and conquer it.
It was hard.
So I can only imagine.
Yep. I was blessed that I had been beaten up so much that I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I was ready for change.
Okay.
And I did change, and I was blessed by the God of my understanding that that obsession was relieved early on, but it took finding, a group of guys, some mentors to really guide me in the right way, and it worked. And and I still talk to some of those mentors and some of those guys today, and it's still a big part of my story, my life, and yeah, so. That happened, and I had a son when I was very early on. My son Michael, he's part of my driving force today.
Yes,
and he's 8 years old now, and even after cleaning up my act, though, I didn't have it all together. I still struggled for a number of years. I picked up the paintbrush, picked up a couple other trades, and I learned. The trade space. I worked for a couple of different companies in the Jacksonville area, but I was mainly focused on my music career. And that was my motivation. That was my business at the time. And I took a lot of pride in that project that I was working on.
Right.
And COVID came around in 2020, and it all kind of fell apart. We had just signed a record label. We were getting ready to go on tour. We had a pretty large East Coast tour planned.
Wow.
And it was like, I made it. I'm going, and COVID happened, and it all kind of fell apart. Yeah, so I remember after that, I hit a crossroads, and I even remember I was like, you know what? I don't even want to paint houses anymore. I don't want to be a craftsman. I don't want to do this. I almost considered going to barber school, actually. And I picked up this book in a thrift store one day. I don't ever forget the book, and it was Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Okay.
And I bought that book for $1 at a thrift store. And I read that book from cover to cover in less than 2 days in Asheville, North Carolina. I was on a trip with friends, and I read it at night on that trip. And I went back, and I immediately started this business that next day.
Okay, you answered my next question, is what inspired you to start the business?
Yeah, that was it. It was Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Wow.
I had no intentions of ever being an entrepreneur. I know I didn't like working for people. And my band was kind of my business for, years. I didn't make a lot of money, but I loved it. Of course, as my passion. Music still is a passion of mine, but so I did that for years, and I read that book, and I just got to work.
Well, now you can buy better guitars.
Yes. Yep.
Right. You'll still enjoy it.
That's also a problem. That's an addiction in itself. Yep.
I understand. Maybe a good one. Yeah. So, once you started the business, what were some early wins that you had? You're like, oh, wow, man, this is going to work.
Man, the first couple of years were kind of hard. I'm not going to lie. I was still on the brush for the first 12 months. And I found the PCA through, a representative at Sherwin-Williams, and she recommended that I go, and actually just so happened to be in Orlando that year. And I traveled, no short distance, 2.5 hours down to Orlando. And I think one of the first seminars I went to, or the first, panel, was one of yours.
Oh.
And I got to see you speak.
And we met.
Yep, and we met, and I shook your hand afterwards, and that was my first time really seeing somebody that was really passionate about the industry and building a business, and here's how to do it, and here's a blueprint. I just remember taking notes and taking pictures and, thinking that was really cool. So, and I really struggled up until that point. So that first PCA, I was doing profit and loss on a piece of paper and didn't really understand how to do it. I didn't know anything about running a business.
Right, right.
I knew how to paint houses.
Right. Wow. And, so many people, I mean, gosh, you were ahead just writing a profit and loss on paper. A lot of people don't even worry about it at all.
Yeah.
So at what point, or was there a point where the business was running you instead of the other way around?
Yeah, I would say from that first year up until then, it still ran me, for the next couple years until about a year ago, where I really started to, dive into, leadership and, some of the things that we talk about often, it controlled me for a long time. And just recently is when I've started to kind of feel those chains kind of, release, and feel like some of that pressure was lifted off, and that there was a way that I could buy back some of my freedoms.
Yeah. Wow. So how about a similar question? Has there been a time where you felt like you were just hitting a ceiling? You're trying to grow, but you can't grow. Has there been that, or has growth not been a problem at any point?
I was fortunate enough that just from sheer determination, I think I was able to grow a little bit every year. But the problem is come to find out, we may have been hitting bigger numbers. We may have been hiring more people, but we weren't actually putting more money aside. I wasn't actually reaping any benefits from it other than working harder.
Right.
So I remember, the beginning of last year, having a conversation with a friend, and it was like, hey, and he was a mentor of mine too. I was like, when can I start putting in more effort and start getting more reward? Because it feels like I'm kind of just putting in all this effort and I'm not getting much more reward back. Can you relate?
I can relate to that. Yeah. I think a lot of guys can relate to that. Yeah. So, there's so many contractors feel like initially, and maybe for far too long, that they're doing it all themselves. What did that look like for you?
I have a problem with delegation.
Okay.
I can be a controller. I'd have a hard time letting go of tasks and handing them to other people and trusting that they'll do it the way that I want them to. So the last year and a half or so of my business, I've really had to learn how to, set clear communication and expectations and delegate these things and trust my team to execute.
It's hard to let go, isn't it?
For me,
yeah,
it is. I know some people are a little bit better at it than others, but.
And, it's a lot of times we let go and it fails. And so now we're a little apprehensive, and maybe then we become micromanagers. At least that's what I've seen me do, and maybe some others.
Guilty.
And one time years ago, I stumbled on a superstar, and I'm like, whoa, where'd you come from? How do I get more of you? And I didn't know how at the time how to identify those people, but because I didn't have a hiring process, and more than the hiring process, I didn't know how to find the right people to match the right roles. So what made you start looking for a different way, or maybe someone to help you, or someone to follow, or something like that? Have you just always been that type of guy that's like, hey, I need to seek out mentors or help, or was there a moment?
It doesn't come naturally to me. No, it doesn't always come natural. I know that it's something that I need. Being in recovery, you're kind of hopeless, and you have to put your trust and your faith into a power greater than yourself, and typically another, if male or female, depending on what you are,
right?
You have to put that trust into somebody else to help you. So no, and it's not unfamiliar to me, but it's not natural. So when I started going to PCA events, I reached out, I asked people for help, but the problem is I think I was asking a lot of different people for advice and was getting different answers everywhere I went, which I have come to find out it hurt me sometimes, because everybody's business is a little different.
True.
Everybody's advice is a little different, and not everything that everybody else does works for me.
Yep.
So I think when I found a mentor that I could really get behind is when I started to really see a transformation. A guy that you and I both know very well told me, one day that you can only serve one master. I believe that's from the Bible, but that really clicked with me. And from then on, I've poured into that mentor, and had him pour into me, and really took his advice.
Nice. So you came to a couple Contractor Freedom events, actually a few, before joining the coaching program. What were some takeaways from those events? Let's see, you were at a couple sales boot camps, a summit, a leadership retreat. What were takeaways from those?
Well, I think I got a lot out of each one, something different out of each one. I remember being at the first boot camp that I went to, and just thinking, I've got to go back and change everything. I've messed up. I've hired the wrong people for the wrong roles. I've, built these systems that are ineffective. I'm not charging enough. I'm not making any money. That's when the light bulb went on.
I see.
And I went home and I got busy.
Okay.
And I came to the summit, and I realized that there was going to be a lot more value here. There's a lot more that, you were so gracious to give to other people. And then, you mentioned the leadership retreat in Mexico, which was a great time. And that's when I really got passionate about learning about leadership and management, and how, I love the quote that you say, every master was once a disaster. really spoke to me. I still feel like a disaster.
That was me.
But I'm working on it, you know? And I think even before that leadership retreat, we had kind of spoke briefly about this coaching program. And I was very adamant, like, when you launch it, you better call me.
I remember that.
I better be one of the first people to know.
And you were. So, you know, through these times, like, has something in you shifted over the last year? Your thinking?
Yes, I would say so. Definitely. You know what really changed for me and what really improved my mentality was learning more about DISC, learning more about personalities and how we're all different, and you know how to communicate with different styles, and how my style is unique because this way, and this style is unique because of that. That really changed the way that I interact with people. It really changed the way that I viewed myself too. I became a lot more sure of myself, to be honest with you. I became a lot more confident with myself, with my delivery, with my conversations with people, with my team, with my partner, my son, my family. I really feel like this program, what you teach, and really understanding myself on a different level really changed me as a man and as a leader. So yes, this has been a huge transformation for me.
I think I had a similar learning about DISC. Before DISC, I might observe other people around me and see what they were strong at, and I was weak at it, and it made me feel like I was insufficient in some areas. Like and felt like I needed to get better at certain things that I wasn't good at. And when I started researching all these psychometric assessments and learning about myself, I came to this realization, kind of probably similar to you, that that's not who God made me. That's who God made that person. These are the things I'm made for. This is where I'm going to shine, and I'm going to let them shine over there. And if I need that on my team, I'm going to hire that person on my team. Yeah. And I'm going to focus on my strengths instead of spending too much time focusing on my weaknesses. That was a big wake up call for me about it. And of course it helped me be a better husband, a better father, better leader. But it all started with that understanding of who I was.
Yeah, no, I can relate to that a lot.
So, yeah, man, that was, and you've probably heard me say this many times, if there was any tool that I could go back, 25, 30 years and get and put in my, toolbox, it would be learning about DISC and the predictable nature of human behavior.
Yep.
Can you walk us through a specific example of something that maybe you did take away from one of these events or even the coaching program that went back and changed the way you did something? Hopefully for the positive.
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously communication with the DISC stuff, right?
That's kind of what I was going to continue to go off of, is DISC and hiring. Because like I said, that was one of my insecurities. Like, why am I not good at these things? Why am I not good at this? Why do I struggle with this so much? And that's what really, changed my mentality. Like, it's okay. I don't have to be good at everything. I can delegate some things to people who love things that I don't love. I don't love spreadsheets, and I don't love looking at numbers all day. So that was a huge transformation for me. And like I mentioned earlier, I'm not good at delegating things. So, and I don't like being bad at something either.
Yeah, right. That's a tough place to be.
I like to win.
Yeah.
So,
oh man,
and that's just my mentality. And now I accept that. I accept myself for who I am. I accept other people for who they are. That's huge for me now. What was the original question?
I don't even know.
I forgot.
But you're making, just hearing you talk is making me think. It's like, Jennifer on our team. You know her very well. She loves doing interviews. Loves it. I absolutely hate doing interviews. I mean, when I've got the right one, I love the interview.
Oh yeah.
Okay, but going through all of that, and she is so good at that. And I feel like, for many years we struggled with hiring. One is getting people, getting an okay person, but then when you really like, hey, I need an A player, and you know what an A player is for your team, that's amazing. And one of the small businesses, although they may have a hiring process, like I mentioned earlier, they don't really know exactly what they need. And I think that's one of the biggest struggles. Here's what I did when I was young in business. Oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed. I need someone to do X, Y, Z. And then someone in our family or friends network would say, oh, so-and-so's boyfriend's cousin is out of work and they need something. So I'd hire someone that was completely unqualified because I was just begging for help at the time. Have you ever been like, beg, please, I just need a warm body just to do, right?
Yeah.
And what a terrible plan that was. Sometimes it might work out a little bit, but it generally never worked out long term. And
typically hiring friends and family doesn't work out.
That's right. And I see so many people just make the same mistake just because we don't know what we don't know. And, it's not like you go to this school, they teach you how to go start a contracting business.
No.
And it just, and even, you go to college and get an MBA, that's a lot different than just starting a business in the real world.
Sure.
So let's fast forward to today. What's different about Zach the man than Zach of,
the boy?
Than on, okay.
I think a lot's different. Like I said, I'm not the kid that I was, 3 or 4 years ago. I think I really decided that here's the thing about me is when I choose to do something, I'm going to go 100% into it. I can't do anything, half glass. I have to be 100% in or 100%. And that's always been my mentality, like I said, with previous projects and things in the past for myself. But what's really changed is, my mindset about myself, my family, my God, my business. I've really just transformed into somebody who I really want to serve. I want to serve my people. I want to serve my family. I want to be the best husband, brother, cousin, son, boss, manager, whatever I can be. I've decided that I really want to serve others.
Wow, I love that.
And I just want to be the best me that I can offer to the people that rely on me or care about me.
That's so good.
I struggled with that, and it's hard to admit, but even when I was in my sobriety and my recovery, I was still very selfish and self-centered, and that was hard to let go of. I was egotistical. I can still be egotistical sometimes, but I had a hard time letting go of it. My family didn't come first, and I'm really transitioning into I want to put my family first. I want to put my people first. I want to pour into them. I want everybody to feel appreciated and loved. And that was a struggle for me for a while.
I'm with you, man. That's a great insight too. And at the end of the day, it's the relationships that matter.
Yeah.
Even if you got all the money in the world, the biggest business in the world, and your life isn't filled with love and health, what is it?
The point?
What is the point, right? So if you could go back to the beginning of this journey of Provision, and based on everything you know now and who you are now, what would you tell the Zach that's just got his business license?
I would tell him that don't go get a business license because they're going to get rid of it in a few months in Florida.
Okay.
So you can save yourself $500 there. But I would go back and I would tell a younger version of myself that you can't do it alone. That you have to You have to invest into your people. We had such a hard time spending money and making hiring decisions. My co-owner and myself, we just we'll do everything ourselves. There's two of us.
Right.
We can handle sales, marketing, project management. We can handle office management. We can pay everybody. We can do everything ourselves, right? There's two of us. That's better than one.
Yep.
So we didn't spend any money. We were very frugal, and we didn't rely on anybody for anything else. And we were very apprehensive of coaching. I would go back and tell a younger version of myself, like, hey, you can't do this alone. You've got to allow somebody to pour into you.
Can you go back and tell the older me with that when I started my business? I needed to hear that same advice.
Yeah. For someone like myself, that was tough.
So how about, I'm just picturing in my mind all of these business owners, most of them younger, not all of them. They're grinding it out day by day, working long hours, giving everything to their business. What would you say to those guys?
Well, I appreciate the grind. So, that hard work does pay off, but don't kill yourself over it. If you find yourself working, 60, 70, 80 hours a week, and it's taking away from the quality of your life, you're neglecting your health, your family.
Yeah.
Is it really worth it? I respect the grind, and I appreciate it, and I like to grind too, but
with a better future in mind.
Yeah.
It's like some people get stuck there. Look, it ain't easy to get a business launched and built, right? We both know that.
Yeah.
But the idea is, hey, at some point I want freedom, and I don't want it to be when I'm ready to retire.
Yeah.
I want it to be before then.
I think a lot of people are like, oh, I'm working this many hours a week, and my business is doing this, and my business is doing that. And it's like, that's not really the flex. The flex is, I have a business and it doesn't consume my entire life. I don't have to work 80 hours. Sometimes I work 80 hours because I want to. Maybe I'm just really passionate about something at the moment.
Yep.
But the flex doesn't come from that. And I think a lot of people have that misconception, like, oh, the harder I work, the more hours I put in, I can brag more because I'm a hard worker.
I see that. Yeah. And I've got to lead by example.
Yeah.
I've got to be the first one there and the last one to leave.
Right.
Yeah. I see that a lot. But I can also, there's many times when I've worked, I'm going to say 80-hour weeks, not because I had to, but because I wanted to build something that would provide additional freedom in the future. So I was giving up something, and I gave up hobbies, social life, for a while. What type of things have you in the past? Similar?
Oh man, I mean, I didn't touch a guitar for probably like 2 years at one point. I just completely put it down
And just focused on the business.
and was just focused on the business at the time. And I still don't pick it up as much as I used to, but I do have that freedom now where, I pick it up for a couple hours a day, but I pick up a lot of hobbies from here and there, and, get too busy for it or forget about it.
Well,
but
I see you doing all kinds of stuff. You're fishing, you're riding, you're doing all this stuff. I see on
a lot of
you've got a lot of things going on. So you're definitely not chained every.
No.
I love it.
Yeah.
So okay, you kind of answered this, but I was going to say, like, what does contractor freedom, or what does freedom mean to you? If you were just to say, when it comes to the term contractor freedom or freedom,
freedom
what does it mean to you?
For me, contractor freedom means I am free of all of the pressure in the day-to-day of business.
Okay.
I'm not chained down to it every day anymore.
Nice.
Like you mentioned, I don't have to be the first guy in the office. Yeah. I don't have to be the last to leave every day. Those chains feel like they've been broken in my business and at home too.
I like that. I love that. So, You mentioned early on that you went to the PCA, and that's where you connected with people, and that's where we met, and et cetera. Um, there's so many contractors out there, whether it's they're shy or timid, or maybe they're a little proud. They don't reach out and connect with people.
Mm-hmm.
What should we say to those guys?
He's saying you can't do it alone.
Yeah, you can't do it alone, right?
Yeah. There's no way you can do this alone.
And I can tell you, I thought I was so smart because I could do anything. And then one day I'm like, I might have been smart, but I sure was working stupid. Why am I constantly reinventing the wheel? These people have solved that problem. Why am I paying the price of education and ignorance all over again when I can just learn from these guys and networking and you gotta be careful who you listen to, but there's a lot of people. So I want to invite anybody I want to invite you, if you're listening, I just want to invite you to join the Contractor Freedom community. I mean, hey, come to one of our events. If nothing else, jump in the Facebook group and connect with guys like Zach. And there's so many other, and, reach out to me or I'm sure you can send Zach a private message too. But look, we both share a heart to help contractors live with more freedom, purpose, and impact. And Zach, dude, thank you for joining me today. This has been a good conversation. I enjoyed it, and I think there's going to be a number of people that are inspired by hearing you today.
I hope so. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
See you guys next time.